Hello everyone, welcome back to Teensy Vintage. This is Teresa. Today we are working on page number 5 in our mini junk journal. For those of you that have been watching so far, this is the 5th in a series of me making a tiny journal out of some junk mail that was sent to me from a credit card company. So today we're doing teal. I know it's not a traditional Roy G. Biv color, but I was like, you know what? Any chance to use teal, I'm going to do it. So between green and the upcoming blue, we're going to have a teal page. So right here, I have cut off the long, they're very long pages, and I've cut them in half for this instance. Last week we made a pocket. This week we're making a flip that goes up. And right now what I'm doing is just putting a layer or two of gesso onto these pieces of paper because the text is not something I want to show through in this case. So I'm applying gesso with a cosmetic wedge, and then I'm just using my heat tool here to dry everything, and then adding a second layer of gesso. So if you try to do, 2 layers of gesso wet on wet, it's just going to kind of be pushing gesso around your page. But if you dry the first layer and then apply a second layer, you'll get some pretty good coverage. Now, as you can see, you can still kind of see the text. That's okay. I just wanted to dull it down, so to speak, so that it's not really noticeable. So we're doing a few layers of gesso here today. If you really wanted to white everything out, I have no idea how many layers you'd need to do, but you could do it. Um, this paper is also on the thin side, so adding all this wet media to it kind of, is making it curl a bit. That's okay. Eventually, I got everything to kind of uncurl and flatten out, but just be aware, this is not mixed media paper. This is just whatever paper, the advertiser picked to sell me the credit card. We're using junk, y'all. Okay, so first up, I was dying to use this ink. This is acrylic ink from Liquitex called Turquoise Deep. It is gorgeous, and I'm just dropping some color here on the page. I added a little bit of water to help it move around, and I've got a few paper towels just in case. Ah, there we go. See? Now, you'll notice it kind of went off to the left side there where the staple is and bled through a little bit. It's not ideal, but you know what? Just be aware. If you've got staple holes, ink can go through them. So, just be careful. I'm using my little air blower tool there to kind of move the ink around the page, and you get these really cool little fractal looking lines when you do that. Okay, now this other piece, I am making tiny pencil marks with arrows so that I know which way's up and down. Yes, I had rounded 2 of the corners, and that helps, but just in case I get turned around, I just wanted to have a pencil mark there to be like, this part goes up. Okay, so we're just repeating the process here, since this is what you'll see when you flip up the page. And I'm using the air blower yet again to kind of move the ink around the page. Okay, so these 2 pieces are nice and dry, and now I'm pretending that I have a hinge there, and I'm looking to make sure everything is moving along smoothly. So now we're going to do the opposite side, and this side I've chosen an acrylic paint. Ink, paint, you're like, what's the difference? Well, ink is obviously much more fluid. Paint is a little thicker. I also pull out one of these Neo Color 2 crayons. These are water soluble, and so when you draw with them, you can add water to them and they'll have a watercolor look. So I'm just experimenting here, but I put a little bit of the watercolor crayon on the page, and basically I got a very light version of the ink. So I went ahead and just colored around the page to fill in all of the white without um, using another color. Remember, this whole journal is monotone, so it's monochrome. It's one color for each page. So my rules for this are you can use the main color, teal, and any neutrals. Um, so yeah, this is just me adding some more color in the color that we've chosen. So other page, same thing. We're gonna go and add some crayon, add a little water, and turn it into a nice matching combo. I'm also going to pull out the brown. It's a neutral, and just for a little bit of, variety, add some brown over here. Because, you know what? Why not? I will say this brown was a little grainy and didn't really turn into the nice watercolor that the teal did. FYI. So yeah, it's okay. All right, so now I have two finished pieces for this side. And now I'm looking through my big box of bits and bobs. These are all scraps from other projects. And I'm just trying to find a few things that will work for a focal piece for this side of the page. I've got a little bit of yearbook photos. I had a die cut. Looks like a page from a math book. Um, and then those things in the plastic. That is a 49 in Market paper kit. I don't think you can get that kit anymore, but that's where that came from. Just lots of little cards and tickets and stuff, and they're all in this charcoal gray, which is nice because you can add color to it and make it match whatever you want. Okay, so now, next step, we're going to put these little babies together. However, I gotta add the paint first. I'm gonna get all of our goodies out of the way, and this is cobalt blue, but it's metallic, so it looks like teal. Um, it's very pretty, very shiny. I'm going to use a wet paper towel here to kind of remove some of the paint through a stencil to get a bit of a design. It's really muted and kind of weird looking, but I thought it was interesting. So yeah, I'm going to keep it. Go ahead and dry it with our heat tool. And yeah, just to have something interesting. There's one other page here. This will be the back side of the page. And I'm just going to apply one coat of this paint. And it goes on really nicely thanks to the gesso. So only one coat is needed. Like I said, this is a really pretty metallic paint. So, all right. Now we're going to make sure it's nice and dry. And then we can um, put our two pages together. So I'm going to use washi tape to create a hinge. Yeah, here we'll pull out the big box of washi, and I'm just kind of digging through to find either something teal or something neutral, a black, a white, a brown, something like that. This colorful pack has a teal colored tape, and then I also pull out a black and white tape. So for the outside, I'm going to use a black and white because you'll see that part. And here I am. Thankfully, I curved two of the pieces so they're going to be the right direction. I'm going to trim off any excess. And now I'm going to use a different tape to tape the inside. This teal and green piece, which I thought, one, goes very nicely as a transition, and two, blends in really well with these particular pages here, because I didn't want it to be very noticeable. So this one is nice. So we're going to use our bone folder to press down the tape really well and to strengthen that fold into a nice crisp fold. And here we are. Then we have a hinge. Yay. Okay. Next up, now we're going to do the focal point on the top flap of our flip here. And these two little girls from this math book were so cute. So I went ahead and fussy cut them out. Spoiler alert, these two ladies don't actually make it into the book. I tried really hard to get them in here, but it just didn't work. So here I am. I went and got a piece of vintage dictionary paper and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put them on top of this paper. And that didn't really work. And then I was like, well, maybe I need something else. And I found this gorgeous teal die cut that I had made ages ago. These are all my other teal bits and bobs. But for some reason it just, I don't know, it was too matchy, which is hilarious since here I am telling y'all I'm doing, these tone on tone pages. But for some reason I was like, no, but I love the shape. So I said, well, let me go get a different color, a neutral colored paper, and cut that same shape out of it. So I have this pad of map pages. Half of the pages are great, the other half not so great, as in all pads of paper. Oh, how do they do that, right? So I found this lined paper. It's kind of an ivory color with blue lines, and I've got this die cut set from Studio Light Art by Marlene. This one's called Mandala, and I pulled out my die cut machine, and I'm going to cut a new mandala. And it's a little fussy. It's like 4 or 5 different shapes, which, that's fine. It means you get a lot more variety out of it than if you only had the one circle. All right, so I ran it through twice, and here we go. Now the fun part, trying to get all these little bits and bobs out of the die cut. So I've got this tool from Tim Holtz and a little spongy pad, and honestly, this helps a lot. But sometimes you've got to get your little pokey tool and just go in there and literally manually poke all of the little holes. This took a while. Oh boy. But here we go. I now have a neutral version of that beautiful blue die cut. And there it is. Now, now it's too neutral. And the girls, they don't really work with it either. Sorry, girls. Here I am trying to save it, but I'm like, no. So, you know what? The girls got to go. Instead, we're going to use these young ladies from their college yearbook, which is great. They're neutral and they will fit on this page nicely. So I'm just tearing out a section of these photos and we're going to put them on the page. I also wanted to add a few more elements to make a nice cluster. And so I've got this page here of small rectangular shapes, and I'm going to cut one out. These are all in the neutral zone. And here we go. That'll work. And now I'm also going to add, there was a little ticket earlier. There it is. This ticket. And I'm going to make this ticket teal. Right now it's gray. It's not really working for me. Plus, I want to bring back our theme color. So I've got some Distress Oxide ink in Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm going to use the little ink dauber thingy. Sorry. Whatever that little tool is to apply it. And now I've got some wet paint. I was trying to sprinkle some water on there, but it just didn't want to move. Um, anyway, so yes, oxide reacts with water. It looks cool, so we've added some of that. And now I'm going to use Vintage Photo and go around all the edges here just to kind of grunge things up a little bit because that's my style, and to kind of give everything a cohesive look and a little bit of an aged look, right? That's the vintage part. Okay, and a tiny number strip. We're going to go around this one in teal because why not? Okay, so there it is. There's my cluster. I'm really happy with it. Let's start gluing. So we'll glue the little tiny number strip to the ticket, and we'll glue the ticket to the little card, and then we're gonna grunge up our tan mandala, beige, whatever color that is, and go around these tiny little edges with the fine tip of the art glitter glue That's one of the things I like about this glue. You can buy this extra tip that will allow you to have a tiny amount of glue come out. All you need is a tiny little bit. It's such delicate paper, but it works really well and it dries really fast. Okay, now we'll add this last bit and we will have this top flap finished. Oh, I love it. It worked out really well. Okay, now we got to work on the inside. I'm taking the leftover scrap of paper and I'm going to turn this into a journal spot. There's a leftover little bit of yearbook photo and we're just going to glue them down. There we go. Make sure it's nice and flat. Add this little piece of yearbook. There we go. And I was like, you know what? It needs a little something else. So we're going to get out our snippets, set number 2. These are snippets. These are little phrases and words I've collected and turned into a set. You can get your own copy over at my Ko-Fi shop. I'll have the link in the description below. And yeah, we're going to glue some words down. I really liked this. It says, Irene felt better than she had ever felt in her entire life. Nice and positive. I've had some, kind of, oddball ones so far in this journal, but this one I just was like, you know what, this is such a beautiful, cheerful color. Let's go for a positive sentiment. All right, so I'll glue these down. Just a touch of glue. It's really amazing just how little glue you really need. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. All right, now I'm going to leave that top part of the flap totally plain. All right, here's the back part of the page. And I brought back the 2 math gals, but still not loving it. So I'm going to go a different direction. I was like, what if I paperclip something, a little card or a tag? And because we haven't done that yet in this particular journal. So I'm going to go through bits and bobs here to see if I can find a tag that's already made, and I do. It's in a tan brown neutral, which is perfect. And I'm just double checking here to see if there's anything else. I have a lot of scrap shell. It's kind of a problem. All right, so here's that leftover piece of blue dictionary paper. Remember that tore off earlier? There we go. And I was like, okay, now what else do we need? We need one more thing on this little tag. And I tried that scrap of paper and it was like, no. What would look good there? Oh yeah, maybe a Tim Holtz paper doll? Yeah, I think so. So let's go get one. So I open up my book of baseball card organizer and pull out this couple. And we're going to grunge up the edges just so they're not bright white and glue them on this tag. Yeah, there they go. Easy peasy, nice and simple. All right, let's poke a hole in the top and let's be fancy and put in a little metal grommet. So we're going to do that too. There we go. It's like blue or brown. We'll go with brown. Okay, stick that in there, mash it. Now we have a beautiful grommet. And the last part of this, we need a little bit of ribbon. So let's get something out here. Here is a beautiful sparkly gold. Gold can be a neutral. First, I tried just tying it, in a regular knot, and I just didn't like the way that looked. So I went ahead and did the, you poke the middle through and pull up the 2 ends through the loop, and that looked much better. Okay, we're going to trim off the ends there, and voila. There it is. All done. Oh my gosh. It turned out great. I really appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you next time.